Hello again, welcome to Anglesey. I'm on the coastal path. I'm not going to say where I am exactly because I quite like this location and I don't want tons of people coming down here. You could probably work it out for yourself anyway if you go on Google Maps. So I've come down here to do sunset. It's quite a good location because the sun sets right on the corner of that cliff over there. So the tide's on the way in, but it's not going to be in for another 2-3 hours. Sunset's in about an hour and a half. We've got complete cloud bank on the horizon, so I don't think there's going to be a sunrise. Maybe some patches in the sky will light up. I'm not wasting my time waiting here till 9:30 at night when there's going to be no sunset. So I'm just going to get a good composition of these sea stacks. I'll take the shot, I'll show you the settings I'm using, and then I'm going to go back to the laptop at home and I'll show you the screen and I'll show you how I edit the shots and replace the sky with the Photoshop sky replacement tool. It's controversial, I know, but it's there for a reason, so we may as well use it. So I'll get my camera out and I'll show you the shot I'm going to take. What I'm going to do is I'm going to blast a shot up that I took years ago around June time when the sun was setting directly in front of the camera. I'll put that up on the screen now. So as you saw, like, pretty awesome sky on that one. That wasn't a photo, that wasn't a sky replacement, that was the original. But as you've seen today, overcasts, load of garbage. But I'm not going to waste my time and waste my trip here. I'm going to still get the shot and I'm going to have a play around in sky replacement, like I've said. So what I'm going to do is now, I've got a Lee Pro Glass 0.9 ND on. I've got a 0.9 ND grad on as well, just to darken the sky a little touch. There's nothing happening in the sky. I've polarized the shot as well. I'm going to put all that on the screen in a moment and talk through the composition with you, but I'm just going to take these 3 shots now. So this first one is at 6 seconds and that's at 0 exposure. Right, so even at 0 exposure the camera's overexposed it, so I'm going to just drop it a couple of stops. That's took us to 4 seconds. That's still overexposed in my mind, so I'm going to drop it again to 2.5 seconds. That's pretty dark, that, but let's see what happens. Yeah, so see, that's where I'd have it, and then I'd play with it and lift the shadows a touch. I don't normally take really dark shots and push the shadows. I know that's a bit of a trend at the moment, but I tend to try and sit between, 2 to 4 stops underexposed and the 0. I try to just play around with the exposure, really. There's no like do's and don'ts with it. It's whatever your taste is. It's an art at the end of the day, isn't it? So it's whatever you perceive to be the correct exposure. No one can tell you whether it's right or wrong, really. But that's how I like it. So I'll blend 2 of those shots together, whatever 2 I decide. And then at home with the laptop, we'll talk through the picture, but I'll just show you on screen now what I'm looking at in the camera, and show you the polarization and things like that. So I'm just going to start by lightening the image a touch. And then I'm going to add a bit of polarization. You'll see that in the center, or the center part of the water in that little bay bit. That'll darken down. And if you notice the little triangle stack on the right hand side, I've got the point just meeting
the headland in the distance. So that just gives a bit of separation there.
I'm happy with what I've got. There's like 3 seals in the water down there for added bonus. That's pretty cool. Yeah, sorry, that's awesome. But back on track. So I've took the pictures. I'm going to get home now. I'll get on the laptop and then I'll show you exactly how I process the image, and we'll drop a sky replacement in and see if it's passable or not. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to create this image from the image I took at Anglesey at the sea stacks. So this image has already got the sky replacements I've dropped in, right? So I'm going to show you how to create this image using the sky replacement tool in Photoshop and Lightroom for the edit. So this is the image that I took in Anglesey at the sea stacks, and this is what we're going to create. So this is the actual sky drop, the sky replacement. So to do that, I've already chosen it and put it into the image. So how you'd do that is you'd go to File in Lightroom, Edit in Photoshop, you'd select that. It comes up with it loads the image into Photoshop. You select Edit, Sky Replacement, and then you select which sky that you'd like to replace into the image. So I've done that already. I'm back into Lightroom now, and I'm going to do some. I'll show you how I got the image. So we'll just get rid of that. Right, so I'll just show you now how I'm going to edit this quite flat image and give it a bit more depth with the sky replacement added. So I'm going to go into the Edit tab, and we're going to bring the exposure down a touch, thus bringing out the sun a little bit in the sky. We'll just put a little bit of contrast into the image. We'll bring some highlights down. Now, as you can see, it's bringing it down through the whole image as well as the sky. So Photoshop's put the sky replacement in and it's added it to the Lightroom edit now. So it can control the highlights throughout. So I'm just going to bring the highlights down a touch. I don't know how to speak these days, I don't know what's happening to me. So the shadows, we're just going to boost the shadows a touch. Then we're going to click on Alt, left click on the mouse and drag the pad to the right until we see the white show. So we'll bring that back a bit. We're going to do the same with the blacks. Click on the black, left click, Alt key and pull the mouse to the left, and that'll bring out the blacks. So we'll just bring that back a touch. So already it's starting to look like it's got more layers to the image. So white balance, I'm just going to leave it as shot. It was in daylight mode when I shot that. I'm just going to put the saturation literally just up a tiny touch, and the vibrance, I actually don't know whether to bring that down a touch. I'll have the vibrance as -3. Now I'm going to just add a touch of clarity, a touch of dehaze, just to bring a bit more contrast into the sky. The vignette I'll do manually using the brush. It just gives more control over where you want that vignette to go. The sharpenings, I've already pulled that down. I'm going to remove chromatic aberration and enable the lens correction. So now, this is where I start to use the onboard filters in Lightroom. So I want this part of the sea to look a bit more blue, a bit more blue hour tones to that. So to do that, I'm going to select the graduated filter, click in the left hand corner and drag it
across the image until I reach where the sun is. So that will then tone the left hand side of the image. And I'm going to pull back the temperature bar to give our sea a little bit more of a blue tone. We take that off, and then we're going to select it again, and we're going to pull the graduated filter from right to left this time, and this is going to give us the effects of the sun rays here, lighten up this part of the image, the cliffs and the grass here. So we're just going to put the temperature up, and you'll see that it starts to warm. If you go too much, it looks unnatural, so we're going to pull it back. And then also, to accentuate that tone, you can pull the exposure back on the filter. So let's give us more of a warmer tone on that side of the image. So I'm going to close that down, and then to put a vignette over it using the brush tool, I'm just going to pull the exposure back to 1 stop, and then we're just going to paint around the side of the image and around it just to give a vignette. But as you can see, you can control where you want that vignette to go. Just going to take it over, and then I'm just going to use that darker exposure just to bring the exposure down on this part of the water, and I'm just going to stripe it over there too. So that, to me, I'll just bring that down a touch, is a lot better. I'm just going to add a little bit of colour to the rocks as well with the brush tool. So I'll just reduce the size, and I'll just paint any type of colour I can see on the rocks, and then I'll highlight it. So I can do this. This is just a rough edit. I'd obviously take my time if I was doing this for a post or anything like that. So just going to highlight that, maybe just a touch on the edge, just to put some detail on that edge, the sea stack. Let's stick a bit down here, and then maybe some on this foliage, and then we can raise that exposure on those parts. So I'll take it up a little touch and add a bit of colour from the sun. And that is that. So if I now click on the original, you'll see that that was the flat overexposed original with the sky replacement in. And with a bit of magic, we're left with this, which I'm quite happy with, to be fair. So that was a quick run through of how I edit in Photoshop using the sky replacement tool. So if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, that'd be great if you did. There's plenty more locations and abandoned content coming up as well, which I'm quite looking forward to. So thanks very much for watching again, and I'll see you in the next one.